Hey everyone, Rich Monroe with BNB Investing Group. Thanks for jumping on this week. I'm super excited. We're going to be talking to a dual team here from Waivo and talking about how we can protect our short-term rentals with any damage that happens while guests are staying there. So as a reminder, BNB Investing Group, we help investors kind of navigate the short-term rental model, whether you're doing acquisitions, rental arbitrage, or managing properties. We kind of help you figure out a lot of the different things that we all do as we scale our business. And so if you're interested to kind of learn more about that, feel free to reach out to me directly via Messenger, and we can have a quick call with you and see what you're doing with scaling your business. And so for those of you guys that are jumping on, please put a quick yes in the comments for me to make sure that you can hear us okay. And I'd like to welcome Bri and Jackie from Waivo. Thanks so much, guys, for taking the time today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for having us, Rich.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm privileged. I have two guests instead of one. I usually only have one person on here with me, so this is awesome. So let's start with you, Bri. Let's hear a little bit about your background and kind of how you got started with Waivo.
Yeah, definitely did not know that the industry was so large. There's so much to learn still. I've been in the industry for just about 2 years. Found Waivo because I moved to Bozeman and I love it up here in Montana, and found Waivo and became part of the team, and it's just been nothing but growth and success since then. So yeah. And then we have Jackie, our director of sales, here with us today as well. So that's exciting as well for us.
I started with Waivo back in the beginning of 2022. Just started as a sales rep and kind of watched the thing grow over the years, super organically. A lot of, even to this day, a lot of the leads that come in are just word of mouth referrals and people talking about us and our customer service. And so it's been really cool watching this thing grow and going to trade shows and meeting current clients. And yeah, I got promoted to director of sales a few months back, and happy to be here talking about Waivo.
All right, awesome. So let's break it down to the basics. What do you guys do for short-term rental owners and managers?
Yeah, so in broad brushstrokes here, so Waivo, we are a damage protection company. For the past 4 years or so, we've really focused on damage and solving this really annoying problem that's pervasive in the industry. And we wanted to make it as easy as possible for our clients to get reimbursement. And we don't want it to be this painstaking process like it is with Airbnb sometimes. And we kind of wanted to solve that problem for people. We feel that we've done that at this point. And so we've recently added a couple things to our program, the big one being liability. So we can talk about that in a little bit here, but we have added our $1 million in commercial general liability we're offering to property managers. But yeah, at the end of the day, at its core, Waivo is damage protection. And we really have solved that problem.
Let me elaborate a little bit for the folks that haven't really got their first listing set up yet and don't really get what happens with Airbnb and the Resolution Center. You know, Airbnb's air cover program that Jackie mentioned is something that is definitely available to us as hosts. But typically the way that it works is you have to, you know, let's say you have a chair that's broken in your unit. Well, the requirement is that you reach out to your guests and say, hey, you know, I know you just checked out, but we have a broken chair here. Can you tell me about what happened? And so you basically have this clumsy, awkward back and forth between you and the guest. And obviously the guest is either going to outright deny it or they're going to accept it. And then you have to try to work things out with the guest as a first protocol. And if they deny it or don't respond in 48 hours, then you can escalate it to the insurance that Airbnb provides to get reimbursed. And so the benefit of Waivo is the chair breaks, you don't even have to talk to the guest about it, right? You can go directly to Waivo's program and upload the pictures and the estimates and kind of resolve it that way without having that awkward conversation with the guest, which obviously could impact your reviews. I mean, I'm not trying to, err on the side of the guest is always right, but this is hospitality and customer service. And so it really helps you to run the business that way. So I just wanted to kind of add that in there for the folks that aren't familiar with the Airbnb process.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. And that the guest just, the guest reviews, that's huge. That's a huge thing for our clients that they absolutely love, is that, doesn't matter what the guest has to say. Airbnb will, take the guest's word for it, and you won't be reimbursed. And then, and like you said, the reviews and the ratings, those are so important in the industry. So making sure that we just don't include those, guest disputes is, our priority as well. Taking care of our clients, their homeowners, and their business is our priority.
Cool. So let's dig into the slides here a little bit. I know you guys had some stuff you wanted to walk us through. Then we can kind of go into some questions from there.
Yeah, for sure. So we already touched on the fact that Waivo absolutely does not get the guests involved. Now, if the guest brings it to your attention that damage happened, great. That's fine. You can include that when you're submitting your damage notice. But at the end of the day, it sounds kind of crass, but we really don't care what the guest has to say. All we care about is that damage happened, and we got to get you reimbursed as quickly as possible. With that being said, we are literally bound by our contract to review and respond to your damage within 2 business days. So no matter what, we're getting a response out to you in 2 days. And usually coupled with the response is ACH reimbursement right into your bank account. Every once in a while, we may need more information, i.e., maybe you forgot to include pictures of the damage, or maybe the pictures are really blurry. We may ask for more information. No matter what, that's happening within 2 business days. So you're always going to know what's going on pretty much right away. But no more than 2 business days. Usually response is getting out there within 24 hours. Our damage team's incredible. They're all in-house. We do not farm this out to a third party. We don't send out any, claims adjusters or anything like that. It's all kind of desk adjustment. And like I said, our team is right here in the office with us in-house. You can talk to them at any time. And so we kind of pride ourselves on that customer service aspect. With that being said, when you sign up, you're going to have your own dedicated account executive, whether it's Bri, whether it's one of our other amazing account executives. They're going to be your direct point of contact here. So no more trying to call up air cover and not be responded to, or put on hold, or transferred to 1,000 different departments. Yeah. There's none of that with Waivo. We're a relatively small company, and we pride ourselves in that kind of white glove service. Yeah. So we're there to help walk you through your damage. Maybe you have damage that just happened and you want to know, hey, Bri, how do I go about submitting this? Is this even something that's covered? We're there to answer all those questions for you and more. A big part about Waivo is a big selling point is that we have no deductibles. A lot of other companies out there, you kind of have to chalk up something before you ever get anything back. With Waivo, absolutely no deductible. We're paying out first dollar, which is huge. Another new thing that we can get into more later, but we do finally have our tech. We have our client portal for clients that were signing up. This is where all of your damage history is housed. You can go back and see every single damage notice you've ever submitted. You can see what damages we've paid out on. You can export out of there, and it's a great way to also contact the team if need be. And it's made our clients' lives a lot easier than what it used to be. Everything was done via email back in the day, if you could believe it or not. But yeah, another thing I'll touch on real quick is our pricing structure. It's super user friendly. It's super easy to keep track of. It's a per booking rate. At a certain point, it does, but as far as the per per booking rates go, quite competitive as far as pricing goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So let's take a back up on the pricing situation. So just so that we're clear, there's some solutions out there that call themselves kind of waiver or damage waiver protection, and the concept is the money gets pooled into like this pot, and you can use it to replenish, to reimburse for incidents that occur. And then there's others that have like an insurance policy format. Where does Waivo fit in that realm?
Yeah, so Waivo, we do not expect you to put this money into a pot and then you have to subtract, out of that pot and pay for damages. There's none of that. With Waivo, we are strictly a damage waiver. So we are backed by insurance. We're backed by Lloyd's of London. But Waivo itself, it's a damage waiver. So essentially, we're waiving the guest liability for damage up to the chosen coverage limit by our clients. So we're waiving the guest liability for damage over on to Waivo. We're assuming that responsibility when damage happens. So it's not an individual insurance policy written in the guest's name. It's not on the guest at all to file the claim, obviously. It's just kind of, you can put us on any and all of your bookings. Most of our clients put us on all their bookings. We do allow you to pick and choose which booking platforms you do put us on. But no matter what, whichever bookings you want us to cover, we're going to be covering for you. When damage happens, we're going to get you reimbursed within 2 business days.
So it's basically a line item on my reservation when my guest is making that reservation that basically says damage protection or whatever I want to call it, really, for that stay. And we're not requiring the guest to fill out anything or check a box or anything like that in the check-in process.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're exactly right. So most of our clients, with their direct bookings, they do have the flexibility to add a line item and call it Waivo damage protection or accidental damage protection,
waiver,
whatever you want to call it. Or, with Airbnb, if you want to put us on your Airbnb bookings, your VRBO bookings, our clients just simply bake our fee into another fee, or they bake it into the nightly rate. Some of them pass that fee on to their owners. Most pass it on to the guest. But no matter what, we are charging our client. And then, so technically the client is paying for Waivo, but they're passing that fee on to the guest beforehand on the front end. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And I can go to the next slide here. Yeah.
So just to run over some things that are covered, we do definitely have a lot more coverage than what you would generally see with Airbnb or VRBO, or even, the channel managers out there now have their built-in damage protection. So those are generally just, accidental damage protection. So with Waivo, we don't just cover accidental damage, but we also cover intentional damage as well. So we're going to cover things such as indoor and outdoor furniture. I think we had an example the other day where someone just decided to break apart the lawn furniture and use it as firewood in the fire pit. So, so we would cover that. Structural damage, whether it's, again, accident or intentional, they get in a fight and someone punches a hole in the wall or in the glass window, that's going to be covered. That is a result of direct damage caused by the guest. And so it's not just, it's not just content always. I mean, I've seen a dog chew off the corner of a wall and we've covered that. So we do cover that pet damage, appliances and electronics.
Big thing that people don't realize, mechanical breakdown is technically, it's an exclusion of our program, but that does not mean that appliances aren't covered. So if somebody were to, damage the dishwasher in some way, obviously we would cover that. We saw one the other day where somebody put like Dawn dish soap
Yeah.
into the dishwasher. They thought they confused that
So,
as the dishwasher
yeah.
detergent. Yeah.
Unfortunately, that happens a lot with the younger generation. We've had that happen too many times.
It sounds like something I would do, to be honest.
Not to point the
Couple years
finger,
ago.
but yeah,
Yeah.
from our experience, it's been our younger guests that are like, oh, I've never done the dishwasher before. This works.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
They mean well, but yep, there's suds and water damage
Yeah.
everywhere.
So 2
Yeah,
days later of draining that out with the cleaners,
yeah,
it's yeah, for sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
A big one for us too is a recreational item. So as long as they don't have a motor, we can cover it. So we're talking bikes, surfboards, paddleboards, kayaks, canoes. If somebody steals one of those items, that's going to be covered. Theft is covered with a valid police report. Excessive cleaning is covered. Let's say you come in, we've all been there, maybe spill some red wine on the couch. That's going to be covered. Labor costs, we all know what that looks like. Like Bri mentioned, if somebody punches a hole through the drywall, that drywall repair is going to be covered. The labor and the materials and the shipping and the handling and the taxes, all of that's included in reimbursement as well. And then we did put homeowners insurance deductible on here because something to take note of is, if there's catastrophic guest damage, we're talking a guest is cooking in the kitchen, causes a grease fire, burns the place down, or maybe someone comes in and decides to throw a Project X style party, and there's hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of damage. Now we're looking at more of a homeowner's insurance claim at that point, but no matter what, there's always a deductible on that policy. So we can at least we can help cover that deductible for you up to your Waivo coverage limit. Yeah.
Okay. And on the question on the appliances and electronics, so if I have a guest that stays there and they bump into the TV or the kids damage the TV, is that replaceable?
Yeah, that's covered. And a big thing is that we do everything based on replacement cost value as opposed to actual cash value, meaning we don't care what you paid for that TV
10 years ago.
5 years ago, whatever.
Yeah.
We care about whatever the equivalent of, a similar TV, whatever that TV costs today, whatever it's selling for today, that's what we're going to reimburse you for.
Okay.
So we don't take depreciation into account.
Okay, I got it. And then on different circumstances, so smoking is a big one that is got kind of like a hidden cost that is not that tangible, but obviously, when you've got whether it's marijuana or cigarettes and they've had a smoking violation, we try to charge a fine based on our listing description. There are costs involved with using, machines to kind of neutralize the air and other things that we can do. But is any of that covered through the program at all?
Unfortunately, it's not at this time. We are trying so hard to get coverage for odor.
It's a touchy subject versus us and basically underwriting. It is something that we will be adding odor coverage. But at this moment, historically, it's been so hard to prove just because it's so subjective. At the end of the day, you can't take a picture of how something smells. Now, with that being said, there are devices out there that detect odor, and they can produce an actual report of the level of smoke detected and the kind of smoke detected. And so we are in talks with certain companies, such as Wind, WYND. We have been talking to Minute and Noise Aware, and so it is something we will be adding.
It's on our radar.
Yeah, at this time, so, it just kind of is what it is. We tell our clients if there is an issue with odor, obviously you're more than welcome to, as much as it's painful, you can submit it to air cover. Otherwise, like you say, you can kind of rely on that smoking fee. But it's just one of those things that's not covered at the moment.
Yeah. I definitely suggest if you have, 5 or more properties or it's an issue that you see repeatedly, definitely invest in an ozone machine. I mean, yeah, and that's really what we're looking to cover when it comes to odor is the remediation, not the cost of an ozone machine, but for your labor and time running that ozone machine. So it's all, I mean, that is definitely number one that I like to get an ozone machine.
Yeah.
Because that's definitely going to save you on some costs. And then the other thing is, put it in your house rules. If they smoke, they have to pay, a $300 penalty fee or something,
Yeah.
to kind of deter those issues.
Okay. Yeah. And so we do both
Put
of
us
those.
on the spot, Rich. You put us on the spot with the odor.
Well, well, I got another possible zinger for you. I mean, I always like to try to kind of vet out a clear understanding of what's covered and what's not, right? So
Yeah.
another example is, let's say we have somebody that's trying to do a party, and or it could be a fraud situation, and I'm required to get my armed security service over there to basically remove the guest. There's a cost obviously associated with that. How is that viewed in the program, if at all?
Yeah, that something like that would be covered. That would be covered. And there's also something to be said about squatters too, and our sister company, Proper Insurance, they have squatters coverage, which I know sometimes is an issue in like California and other areas of the country. But yeah, as far as having to send somebody out there, we just consider that honestly to fall under labor costs.
Okay. Well,
yeah,
that's good to know.
question.
Yeah, that's good to know. Because that, I mean, we've hosted thousands and thousands of guests, and we've had to use that probably, a handful of times. So it's not that regular occurring, because, we tell our members to kind of do a lot of upfront vetting that kind of eliminates a lot of those issues that come up. But sometimes you just can't avoid them, right? They sneak in there.
There's bad apples everywhere for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. So let's go to the next slide here. Perfect. So something we do want to talk about, we have two different business models with Waivo. So we have our Waivo Enterprise, and then we have our Waivo Now clients. So Waivo Enterprise is designed for property management companies. It's designed for scale. It's a volume-based pricing model. With that being said, it is a little more involved. It's truly kind of a partnership between Waivo and the property management company. There's a monthly report involved that we pull from the client's software, the PMS. But it's the greater the volume of bookings that we're covering for you, the lower your per booking rate is going to be. And then we have Waivo Now, which we're really excited about. It's relatively new. We were working on it for quite a while there, but it's basically designed for the independent hosts, the self-managers, usually who have between 1 to 3 properties, or a better measure is if you're doing less than 10 bookings a month on average. So this is truly our self-serve option. It's kind of pay as you go, pay as needed. So what's cool about it is we could be so bold as to call it Amazon, but for damage protection. So you kind of make it part of your booking process. When a booking comes through and you want Waivo Damage Protection on it, you just log into your portal, pick which coverage limit you want for that booking, which is really unique. With our enterprise model, you're kind of locked in at a coverage limit. You can choose up to 3 different coverage limits, but you're locked in for those properties. Each property is assigned a certain coverage limit. But with Waivo Now, dependent on what booking comes through, you can pick and choose which coverage limit you want, pay with your credit card, boom, you're off to the races, and you're sent the waiver for your own purposes. You're sent that waiver within a couple of minutes, and you have protection on that booking. And then when damage happens, that portal is where you're going to go to file that damage as well.
Yeah, guys, this is huge. So, obviously a lot of us are aiming towards, increasing our direct bookings, testing out new platforms. And no matter how much you vet the situation, you always sometimes have those uncertainties. And so this is huge to be able to customize depending on the situation, to increase those coverages if you have, an inkling of a thought that you want to have some added protection. So,
Exactly.
and I know, I think that's huge. So is that a fairly new add-on for you guys?
Yeah, fairly new. It's gone over really well so far. Especially not to call out safely, but they have recently
Denied
just have stopped
serving.
providing protection for people with less than 10 properties. It's crazy.
Mhm.
It's nuts.
Mhm.
I feel like
Mhm.
those they kind of don't have as much resources as those with larger PMs, which that's why we were like, we need to solve this solution,
And independent hosts, they account for, and I may be a little off base with my numbers here, but I believe they account for 50% of the industry, and
Right.
they're underserved, I believe, when it comes to damage protection. And so yeah, so signing up with Waivo Now, there's absolutely no sign up cost. It doesn't cost you anything to have an account, a Waivo Now account. So we'll send you your login, whether or not you ever use it. Great, but if you do want to use it, you just log in and pay via your credit card, and you have that protection for
and you can
those bookings.
Yeah, it's great too because you can purchase the protection same day check-in.
Mhm.
You have until midnight on the day they check in to purchase it.
So
it's
if you have
absolutely
a last minute booking, you
Mhm.
can go on and purchase that protection.
All right, perfect. So I just threw it
It's
in the
also
comments.
probably the booking that you want to have protection on too.
Yeah,
you
no,
know.
absolutely. So I just threw in the comments, guys, the link for a free consultation with them to kind of get set up for that. And so you guys can have access to that. Feel free as well to put any questions in the comments that you guys might have that I'm not covering. So feel free to do that, and we'll catch those at the end here.
And I apologize that our slide got all contorted and weird. But yeah, just want to kind of go over the pricing so you know what we're working with here. It is a little messed up there, but the $1,500 coverage limit, that's $28 per booking. It goes all the way up to $5,000 in coverage on Waivo Now, and that's $44 per booking. Again, you can pick and choose which bookings have what coverage limit. Awesome. So we can talk more about liability. We didn't create any slide
have time.
if we have time,
Yeah,
we can
sure.
talk about.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So this is huge. Waivo, we're calling it Waivo Plus. It's Waivo Plus liability. So you have your damage protection, which is a flat fee per booking. And then with Waivo Plus, it's $1 million in commercial general liability. And that is an additional, on top of the flat fee for the damage protection, the liability is just an additional $5 a night. And yeah, it's quite robust. So as you know, our sister company is Proper Insurance. So with that being said, if anybody knows liability, it's proper. And so us being a sister company, we've designed our policy to kind of reflect what they're doing over there. So we're talking animal pet liability, bed bug liability, invasion of privacy, liquor liability. A big one that people don't talk about is not only bodily injury, but also property damage that you could be held liable for. A lot of other companies out there, their supplemental liability policy does not include property damage that you could be held liable for. A great example of that is a guest is staying at one of your properties. They flick their cigarette into the neighbor's yard. Neighbor's house burns down. Neighbor comes back and sues everybody. There's going to be absolutely no coverage for that under other policies. I don't want to name names, but yeah, I listed off pet liability. Other policies out there, they don't have any animal or pet liability. And after the classic slip and fall, dog bites, if you can believe it or not, are the number one reason for somebody to sue in this industry. And it's just simply not covered under other policies. Bed bugs. So bed bugs are a huge deal in the industry, the lost business income, the bed bug remediation. But on top of that, what you should be worried about as well is somebody coming back and suing you because they got bed bugs. So other policies don't cover bed bug liability, or we do. Invasion of privacy. Let's say somebody decides to sue you because they feel their privacy was infringed upon because there's a security camera in the backyard or there's a Ring doorbell camera. Who knows? People sue anybody for anything these days. But a big one is liquor liability. So other policies out there, they don't have any alcohol or liquor liability, which is really concerning because, as you're aware, when people go on vacation, there's more likely to be alcohol involved. And so let's say a guest decides to get drunk and beat up the neighbor. That's not going to be covered if the neighbor comes back and sues. Or maybe a guest left a bottle of vodka in the freezer. The cleaners miss it. Next guest comes in. Underage guest decides to drink that bottle of vodka. All hell breaks loose and everybody's getting sued. That wouldn't be covered with under other policies. So point being here is that Waivo's liability is really robust. And we kind of know what we're talking about here just because of our proper insurance background.
So Jackie, just a clarification on the bed bug coverage. I get it for the liability, but is that covering us for the remediation of bed bugs if there's an issue?
It's not at this moment. We're thinking about potentially adding it. And this is a crazy story, not something I thought we were going to talk about. But recently we had an insane discovery with proper insurance of fraudulent bed bug claims. We're talking like $500,000 worth of fraud. And it just comes at the wrong time because we were about to add bed bug to our damage protection side, so the remediation of bed bugs, but then that happened, and so we're kind of
we're gonna wait a while.
Gonna wait on that, but yeah, bed bug liability, we got you covered if somebody
Okay,
sues.
cool.
Yeah. I do want to. Oh, go ahead.
No, you're fine, Bri. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to also throw in there that this policy does not, it's not going to replace your homeowners or your CGL for your property management company. Really, it's just really focusing on those legal aspects of things that can occur. So just wanted to make sure that's clear.
Yeah, so a great way to think about it is your first line of defense is the insurance, the homeowner's insurance policy on that property itself. And then after that, you have your supplemental liability that we provide, Safely provides it, but you don't want to rely on it. You don't want it to replace the insurance on the home, obviously. And then what's cool about, marketing this to property managers, people who are managing other people's properties, you no longer have to be as stressed when it comes to managing your homeowner's certificates of insurance. If you're worried that a couple homes in your portfolio are not adequately insured, put Waivo Plus on those properties. At that point, you're protecting not only your homeowner but yourself as well.
And the guest.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We have another question in the comments. Is anything offered for loss of income coverage associated with a damage claim?
No, we don't have any loss of rents, lost business income.
The damage is really focused on true direct damage, physical damage.
Great question.
Yeah, that is a good question.
Okay. All right. And then
again, that would be something you would find in something like Proper's policy.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. So the other thing, a lot of us are a little bit of a hybrid where, we have midterm guest stays that could be 4 or 5 weeks. Being in Georgia, we have a lot of film industry production folks that come in, and so they may be longer stays. Is there any stipulation in the Waivo coverage for longer stays, or is there like a cutoff if it's over 30 days, or if you have a guest staying with you that's booked and they've paid the fee to stay, you're covered during their stay?
For sure. Yeah. So our coverage, it does not just cut out after a certain point. It doesn't matter how long the stay is. The only thing that's going to change, obviously, is the price. But yeah, we have a lot of clients in our book of business that do have a lot of those midterm stays, and yeah, the waiver is good for however long the booking lasts.
So let me give you a real life example, and you can help me with it. So we have a family that's relocating. We have a fairly new listing that we've set up, a 4-bedroom, 3-bath house. They have 2 bulldog puppies, and we have a pretty strict policy based on my wife's, and I don't argue with my wife most of the time. So we don't
Smart
typically
man.
allow, yeah, we don't typically allow pets at all, right? So, however, it's a pretty lucrative through an insurance, actually through a relocation company, and so it's a pretty big number per month. They want to start with 2 months, and then it may take an extended time after that, depending on how long it takes them to find their next place. So in that example, and I know going into it, there's going to be 2 little puppy dogs peeing all over the place and causing havoc. Does that allow me to basically kind of get an additional coverage, or what would the options be for me there in that example?
Yeah, so we could definitely cover that booking. Pet damage, what's cool about Waivo is that we do not penalize you for allowing pets. So if there is damage, if there is pet damage, we will cover it.
Yeah, regardless the length of stay.
Yeah. Yep.
So I don't have to get, so the base level, $28, I'll be covered up to $1,500 for any incidents that occur for that particular stay.
Yeah,
Exactly.
correct. Yep.
All right. There's nothing else special that has to happen because it's a pet.
No.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I do recommend charging a pet fee.
Do charge
but
a pet fee.
Oh,
yeah.
no. So we're charging an $800 non-refundable pet fee.
That's
Nice.
smart. Yeah,
Good.
that's
Good.
So,
I'm gonna take that
yeah.
for
So
my
I told you my wife's
Yeah.
really strict about it. So that's probably the only way we're going to be able to accept it is with that. So
Yeah.
Dude, I swear, pets and kids, people think it's people partying on vacation, but it's pets and it's kids drawing on the walls. Yeah.
On dressers.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So,
And I wanted to touch on something, Rich, because this goes back to
yeah.
a question you had. I don't think we ever got to it. You were saying, is this a waiver that the guest has to sign? And I just wanted to kind of go back to that. So Waivo, what's really cool is that the waiver is more so for your own sake. If the guest were to come back and say, hey, what did I even pay for during the stay? You can show them the waiver and what's covered and everything. But the waiver is not something the guest signs. It's not something they even have to read. And so a lot of our clients, quite honestly, they don't let the guests know that the booking is covered with Waivo. They think it may incentivize them to cause more damage, which may or may not be true. But at the end of the day, it's kind of up to you how you want to market Waivo to your guests or not. You can completely keep it hush hush under the radar. But I just wanted to touch on that because I know you asked that question.
Yeah, and I know Bri had mentioned to me last week, you can actually, and some owners and managers do this, you can actually mark up that fee and have it be a little bit of a revenue generator for you as well, right? So,
yes.
on the $28 line item for coverage, I might charge the guests $45, right? Or what have you, and so it can become a revenue generator for you as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
All right, we got another question. Just to confirm, we are not required to contact the actual owner to use his or her home insurance prior to contacting Waivo. We can contact Waivo first and truly skip the homeowner, correct?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so I'm not sure if that means if they're asking it, if they're managing the property for the homeowner. So for example, if I'm a property manager and I'm managing the property, I guess they're asking that question. Do we have to communicate with the owner that we're using the waiver protection plan?
No,
No.
you
I
do
don't-
not.
Yeah, I don't see a reason
It's
why.
honestly a good selling point for hosts and PMs. I mean, you can say, look, I offer this to all my clients. It's just what you do.
Yeah.
and just tell the homeowners this is an additional protection to protect them and their home and their contents. That's a good selling point. And so, I mean, so is the Waivo Plus as well for those, you know, that may be worried they don't have adequate insurance.
Yeah, with Waivo Plus, if it was me, if I was a property manager and we're talking about insurance, if my homeowner cannot provide me with a certificate of insurance that shows that they have $1 million in commercial liability, and I am listed, the property manager, I'm listed as additional insured, then I am putting them on Waivo Plus. I'm putting that property on Waivo Plus, and I'm putting it on their owner statement. You can pass that $5 a night onto the guest as well, but and I would just phrase it as, listen, I'm protecting you, and I'm protecting myself as well. If a guest comes back and sues us all, basically.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Definitely. So I think the clarification, if we are managing for the owner, we wouldn't need to use homeowner insurance. Yep. So that's exactly what that question was about. So yeah, that makes sense. So listen, Bri, Jackie, I really appreciate you guys taking the time today. You know, I'm super excited. I've just signed up with Waivo, and I'm, you know, looking forward to having that protection. And, you know, I'm going to make sure that we recommend to all of our members and our clients that are BNB Investing Group members to definitely consider using you guys, because it makes perfect business sense. And, you know, anything to do to kind of help all of our lives be easier and less of a problem as we have these issues that come up, right?
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. I think we have, absolutely. I think we have one other question. Let me see if we have time to cover it. Is Waivo Plus only applicable to the property you're managing, or can you apply it to others without the protection?
You do have to have the damage protection to qualify for the Waivo Plus program. But yeah, it would be for the properties that you manage.
Yep.
So I guess that a different way, it's only particular to that property that you say you want to do +4. So you don't have to, if you have 40 properties, you can just do it on 4 of them. You don't have to do it on all 40.
Exactly. And nor should you put it on all of them. You know, I assume some of those properties have the correct insurance, which is great. But we assume that we're going to be on all the properties unless you provide us with an exclusions list. So all you need to do is just send us a list of those properties that you don't need Waivo Plus on, you don't need the liability on, and then we just exclude those properties from the coverage, and you're good to go.
Got it. Awesome. So thanks again, guys. This has been really informative. Really appreciate you coming on. For those of you that are watching and watch the replay, BNB Investing Group, if you're ready to get started and want to learn how to scale a short-term rental business, feel free to reach out to me directly. We can have a quick call and check in with you and see if our program is a good fit for you or not. Thanks again, Bri. Thanks everybody for checking us out, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you, Rich.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thanks
it.
everybody. Take care.
Bye.